shit on a lot. They've really gotten shit on a lot. And I haven't shit on mainlands as mainlands. I've shit on mainlands as, look where the fucking market's going. Read your market. And a lot of people didn't do that. Now, I was in a position with the Ternates and my helmets and stuff, like, I don't give a fuck about the market. I just went into this, with the band, like, okay, we're done. So this is what I like. This is what I work with. And Ternates are pretty manageable size retic. They fit in a 6-foot vision because, a lot of them are only, 9 to 11 feet. That's a manageable size snake.
Right.
But I think a lot of mainland people, they saw interstate commerce come back and they saw super dwarfs go through the roof and their shit just kind of fell off. But, and as much as I'm not Garrett's biggest cheerleader, he did a massive amount of marketing to push super dwarfs and smaller retics. I didn't see nobody in the mainland market did anything even comparable to bring the mainland market back, compared to what Garrett did with super dwarfs. So if they weren't going to do the marketing and they weren't going to talk about it, of course their shit was going to fall off. But at the end of the day, a smaller retic is still a better, I don't want to say it's a better product, but it's a better product to market.
I don't understand what the problem of something that's easier to keep being a problem. And it's just like, people would love to have Great Danes, but they're just like, I just can't.
Where the fuck are you going to put it?
What's crazy is, like, listen, when I lived in downtown, I was really big in the DJ scene. I lived in a high rise where I saw a lot of people with huge dogs, but they're taking them out like 3-4 fucking times a day. And I don't even think even that is enough. There's people who are willing to go out of their way that much to make sure that they're doing everything they can. That's why I'm not mad at not that I'm even mad, but I'm just saying there's not every mainland reticulated keeper out there that's a piece of shit. So some really put in their time and do what they need to do. But it's like all it takes is this one person to fuck it all up. Going back to as far as localities that kind of got you started, like when did like business, was it ever a business to you, Rodney, or was it always just like I'll sell shit to people I know?
It's always been a business. I just don't try very hard.
Hey, that's an honest answer though. You got people. You got people that think like your goals are the same as others. Like you're in here trying to like, oh, I wish I could be a fucking, a Snake Bites TV or a J, or anything. I'm like acting like you wish you had the fucking baton to lead. And I was like, I don't think that's this guy's mission here. I think he's just trying to clear some shit up because shit needs to be cleared up.
It was like kind of all the standard retic people that I talked to. Andrew was one that I talked, he got into super dwarfs pretty early. There are some of those people have left though now, like, because reptile game kind of, it's kind of hard. And a lot of us, make the mistake of going too big too fast. And then we get overwhelmed and then a lot of people dip out then. But, I just but to be honest, I pretty much keep to myself unless I'm calling somebody out for some bullshit and acting like an idiot on social media.
Right.
But like, since we got back interstate commerce, my goal with the Ternates has been to make morphs look better with them, because one of the things that happened 12 years ago with the world's first craze Jay Brewer shit, everybody went that route and they just started gene stacking, because the retic industry is a microcosm of the ball python industry. It really is.
Yeah.
It's
crazy you say that, because like you have like the retics that are like a ball python but gigantic and cooler, because they got better personalities, I feel like. I mean,
because like you have all these morphs, you have all this shit, you have, I don't want to call it a pyramid scheme for
I mean, if you did, you wouldn't be the only one. I mean, I've talked to plenty of people who consider it that.
An accidental pyramid scheme.
Yeah, it's not intentional. It could turn into one if you let it be. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I mean, that's just how economics work. If you produce a bunch of stuff, it loses value because there isn't a bunch of people to pay that price. So you either sit on it or you take less money. So that's why it becomes like an accidental pyramid scheme with these morph combos and stuff. But the one thing that happened a long time ago when I was fighting with Jay back like starting 2011 was like, you know, this mass production for world's first is going to crash the market so quickly, and it's not yielding good results. Everything's either a brown snake or a yellow snake, because, you know, people fail to take into consideration when you're stacking morphs don't really add stuff. They take stuff away. They shut shit off. Like albino, it doesn't add colors. It shuts off pigment development. So every time you slap a morph on something, you're shutting off some piece of like the phenotype expression of pattern or color. So that's why so many animals that you think are like, I'm going to put this morph to this morph and it's going to look fucking amazing. And then it looks like garbage. And that's why. So, and unfortunately, now that we went down the Superdorf path, it's not unfortunate, but the unfortunate thing about Superdorfs is they have the most limited color spectrum and very typically thin black. And those are the two things you need to add contrast. So my morph stuff with the ternates has been to, okay, how can I add black? How can I add color to a morph? And then send that out to somebody who's looking to work with Superdorfs to improve the aesthetic value of what they're doing with their Superdorfs, because there's really only two things that set prices on reptiles. That's scarcity, that's your high price, and then there's the aesthetic value, which is basically the bottom price, and what are people willing to pay. Well, as long as something looks really good, it's never going to just swan dive to nothing. You know what I mean? That's why to this day, a nice purple, just a regular purple, is still $400 or $500 if it's a really nice purple, because the aesthetic value of that snake, the buyer feels that it's worth that money. So, so the two things with the ternates I do is, one, have a sustainable locality, and two, try to add pattern and color into morphs so other people can run them into Superdorfs. That's actually what I do.
Where did things go wrong with the Superdorf? And when I say that, it's like, obviously, dude, my first clutch, I'll never forget. I went to Eric Lee, then I went to Andrew asking about pricing. And when they were telling me the prices of like marble combos and shit, I was like, what? I was like, I don't want to ask this price. Who the fuck's going to pay me this shit? But sure enough, dude, that year, I mean, I think it was like towards the end of people having fuck off money. But man, I sold a lot of those, majority, almost everything, for those prices. But now
they're dipping.
It's way different right now. I mean, even if you want to slash whatever those prices were in half right now, they're going to sit there. And that's everywhere right now, but especially right now, the Retics.
My market's just as strong as my market's just been steady.
Cool. Let's talk about how that is.
Well, when we got back interstate commerce, I didn't price gouge.
What does that mean? Can you explain what that means?
So here's a fun fact. Before we lost interstate commerce, a wild-caught pair of adult to subadult Carrampas from me was $1,500.
Okay.
Now, a F1 pair of Carrampas is $10,000. So, the prices of F1 stuff from wild-caught stuff after we got interstate commerce back bumped up about 400% to 500%. I didn't do that to my shit. Before we lost interstate commerce and importation, a pair of wild-caught ternates from me was $800 to $1,000. Now, typically, you know this, the captive-born version of that is usually 2 to 3 times more, just typically. Like with emeralds and shit, it's going to be way more, but you know what I mean. But across the board, it's usually 200% to 300% above. I didn't do that, and I kept that. So if wild-caught ternates were $1,000, my captive-borns were $2,500. And they've been the same price since 2018 when I first produced them. And I didn't jack my prices up, so I don't have to bring them back down.
But that's not the case overall in the other departments of people working with Superdorfs. Obviously, the prices did get jacked up,
and now they're gonna fucking fall right back to the floor. And that was a thing I warned of in 2016 when I saw things being pushed like, oh, this is this and this is it. I'm like, first of all, I was getting all that shit for $200 out of the wild, so you're all fucking crazy for paying some of these prices. But you can cut this out if you want, but Garrett supposedly just sold a pair of Medus for $25,000.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Think about that, $25,000. Really one established Medu line in the country, and it was from a wild-caught female bred to a wild-caught anery male, from like I don't even remember when I did that breeding.
So you made 50% right off the bat, is what you're saying?
No, I know I made hundreds. It was an anery. It was a wild-caught anery Medu male to a wild-caught Medu female. So it made.
Whoa!
And I never proved them out because I don't give a shit about anery. I don't like that gene. But
why is that? Wait. Why is that? I love anery. Anery looks cool.
I like it, but I don't. I got kicked in some teeth back in like 2010. Like I swore up and down I had a pair of anery fucking Calitoas. I'm like, fuck yeah, because I think it was going to be the first pure anery Calitoas to be produced, and they motherfuckers came out looking anery. They weren't.
How'd you know they weren't?
They just never proved out anery. They colored up, they changed, and it was
shit.
And then see, that's why I don't work with it, because